The Flicks Book Club.
The
Flicks
Book Club.
Yeah, I'm not doing this.
Welcome to Flicks Book Club. I'm Casey Aurora.
It's Dennis Rooney, bro.
I'm Steve McDonald.
Okay, and this be sure to visit flicksbookclub.com. And you'll be able to find all the information there. This week we picked Fruitvale Station. Stream this movie, okay? Just right off the bat. The reason I picked it is I never saw it. I don't think either of you guys saw it either.
No.
Nope.
No, yeah. So I wanted to watch this, and what better time than now? And also a good chance to make other people see it too.
What's it about, real quick?
It's about the shooting of Oscar Grant, who in a BART train station in Oakland, and he was killed by by one cop. What happened was a cop shot him. The cop thought he was reaching for his taser.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And didn't it was not his taser.
They didn't even believe him in a court of law.
Right. And he was sentenced to an astounding 3 years of jail, which he served only 11 months.
So it was 2 years.
2 years and 11 months.
Right. So no, he only served.
No, I mean he had 2 years, but he only served 11 months. Yeah.
So I picked this movie because I wanted to see it for a while, and I thought it was a really good movie. I would say stream it 100%. I really liked it. Just what's going to happen at the end of the movie. You'd have to not know anything to really know that he's not going to get killed at the end. But there's so many points leading up to it that just make it such an interesting and incredible movie that I decided to just go and stream it.
That's a very interesting opinion. You're wrong though. Okay. Don't stream this movie.
Wow.
Do not stream this movie, guys.
Okay, well, there you go.
I'm not going to say why now because I probably just going to... You guys are already looking at me like I'm a racist.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
And,
your charred
I'll explain myself. I'll explain myself.
Right.
But for now, I'm just going to say this wasn't a very good movie to just watch casually, which is what we aim for here, technically.
Right. Okay.
So go ahead.
Sure.
I'm going to go with a resounding stream it.
Right.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a resounding stream it, and I'm going to call out Dennis as a racist.
All right, so watch this movie, and then come back and we'll discuss this.
No, baby. Those just firecrackers. You're safe inside with your cousins.
What about you, Daddy?
Me? Maybe I'm gonna be fine. I'll tell you what, though. When we wake up in the morning, we're gonna play Candyland.
Dennis is so wrong.
Yeah, where do you come off? I don't even forget the racist part. Forget all that.
All right, let me ask you guys a question.
I don't even care if it was a white guy.
Forget the racist part. It's just a good movie.
It's just
I was
going
to ask
movie.
you if this wasn't based on a real thing, on a real life incident, would you watch this movie and be like, "Wow, this is an amazing"?
Why?
Film?
Yes.
Why? But it is.
I don't think it is.
You don't think
this movie didn't do much for me?
It didn't happen.
You gotta understand. Like I know that. Like you just realized. Like I spent the weekend in Baltimore with a bunch of people who were like all like heavy hitters in like the Black Lives Matter and like police brutality like movement and everything like that. Not only in Baltimore but like nationwide. And
we're all impressed. Make your point.
No.
Right.
And I legitimately had a moment where it was like I was finishing this movie last night, like trying not to cry in my hotel room because the sound guy that I was with is in the room also, and I'm like I don't want to cry in front of my crew members.
Okay, let's. All right, well, great job, tough guy. But
well, no, but I mean like that's like what I mean by that is like the impact of like taking somebody where it's like you hear all these things on the news of like this guy got shot or that guy got shot by a cop or this guy got beaten to death or this guy died in the back of a van, and like taking it and putting that person's life in context.
Yes.
Where they had they had a girlfriend and they had a kid and they had a mom who loved them, and they, whether they screwed up or not or whatever, like the circumstances of their life that led them to that moment, to me was so incredibly powerful. Like when you break down one person's life and put it in context,
regardless of race.
It's almost like me saying I didn't enjoy this film. Right. You guys are taking it as I don't care that this guy got shot, that Oscar got shot.
No.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm just saying, as a movie, as a film, I put it on.
Yeah.
It was an hour and like 25 minutes.
Not long.
And the whole time I was just like, man, this thing is dragging. I don't know enough about this guy. I know a little bit about him. I know about this day.
Yeah.
And then he gets killed. And I'm like, oh, that's horrible.
Right.
And then they're like, and then that's what happened. And then riots and protests. And I'm like, what else? I wanted to see a documentary about this.
It's not a documentary.
This movie,
Yeah,
I know it's not a
documentary.
It's a
documentary,
crime film
but
drama.
it's a movie that takes a real life situation,
right.
3 years earlier, right? 2009, 2013. The movie
Yeah.
came out, so
Yeah.
3-4 years, and it starts like playing a little bit with what really happened or who that person really was. Now, getting into like, first of all, obviously it was a horrible thing
Right.
and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I want to see like cold hard facts. This movie's a good movie because it has a positive effect where
So
it brings
then
light to something.
Watch 60 Minutes. If
Well,
you want-
we didn't pick that. We picked
Right,
this
I know,
movie.
but that's not what the purpose of the movie. The movie is not to give you the cold hard facts. It's
okay.
to
What's
put
the purpose of this movie
it's to-
then?
it's
Answer
to
that question, both
put
of
a
you.
person's life in perspective as to how important
A
it is.
fictional person's life, because
Based off
this was a fictionalization
Based off of
a
a true
real
story.
thing.
Yes, based
Yeah,
off.
I
of a
would-
true
based off a
story.
true story.
See,
Right.
that to me, that's kind of the thing is that it's like I don't care that much that it makes it more powerful that he was a real human being. And like when they showed the shot at the very end of the movie of his daughter, like years later at
Right.
his like you know at his
Memorial. It was a
memorial,
10 years
like
later
at a
memorial service.
memorial.
No, not 10 years
No,
later.
no, a few years later.
It's a few years later. It hasn't even
They
been
took
10
clips from the
years.
future.
Right.
Yeah, but like that made it more powerful. But to me, the reason why it worked, whether this person was not like if he had been real or not, the reason why it worked so well as a movie to me was because this person does exist all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like tons of people are like this, where they're working it like they went to jail for something that they did.
Right.
That in all honesty, like I don't agree with what they probably went to jail for, which is probably like selling weed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got out of jail and couldn't hold down a job because of the circumstances
And
that
it's
had happened
so
in their
much
life.
easier to sell weed.
And it's so much easier to sell weed.
Well, I mean, and I hate playing this guy right now, but he lost the job at the deli because he was late all the time.
yeah, because it's easier to sell weed.
Not because of circumstances of society.
Right,
It's
no,
because
of
he
course.
wasn't getting to his job
Yeah,
on
of
time.
course. I'm not-
Even if the movie had been like,
Yeah.
well, I have to drop my wife off at work and my kid, and it's hard for me to make it on time.
Right.
It's like this, he was late all the time, and he got fired.
Yeah,
and then when
of
he tried to get
course.
it back,
Well, but it's also a story within that, like when they talk about like when he is standing at the refrigerator and he looks at the fridge and it's that the rent is due, and then his sister calls him and his sister says that she's gonna need help with rent. Is that it's like there is a lot of like very nuanced, buried things inside all of that, where it's that not only the poverty within the community of Oakland is terrible, but the reality is that housing prices within that area, because of Silicon Valley, even back then, is that the rising housing rates make it almost impossible to live in that like within the Bay Area if you make
it's an
minimum
expensive place to
wage.
live. The
Like,
Bay Area.
Yeah, it's one of the most expensive cities in the world. And so you end up at this place where it's like, to me, it's one of those things of like the entire beginning of the movie leading up to the police brutality end is more so about this thing of like just like a character who's living in a society that has given up on him. It's not even the matter that it's like, oh, you were late for this job, so you got fired. It's the matter that's like there aren't any other jobs. If like I remember when I was a kid and I was growing up in rural Ohio.
You're telling me there's the deli
And-
job, that was his only option. It was either that
not
or
to say
selling
that-
dope.
But they
I mean-
don't. But what I'm saying
And
is
this is
that
also
it's not
getting
like-
off track.
It's not like what I'm saying is that with his character, it's not like his character is sitting somewhere going, I lost that job. It's okay. There's tons of jobs out there. I'm gonna go get one. It's like, I lost this job. It's all I have. There aren't any other jobs. And I know they don't get into like that entire section.
Yeah, but that's
of
not
it.
the purpose of the movies, to be like his job pursuits. You don't see him at a job fair. I mean, he's trying to straighten up and fly right.
He's
And
trying to
get his
straighten.
right.
He's trying to straighten
Yeah.
up and fly, and he's a human, which
Right.
means that he's
Yeah.
not. He's a flawed person. I'm
Right.
not judging him for that.
Yeah.
He flies off the handle with his boss. I get that.
Okay.
I get
Sure.
I get these moments of weakness that he shows throughout the film when his
Right.
mom is. Let me throw you guys a bone here. One of my favorite parts of the movie, maybe my favorite part of the
Right.
movie, is when the mom visits him in prison. She gets up to leave and she won't hug him,
Yeah.
and he has to be restrained. That was a very powerful scene. I
Right.
really like that scene. And then you have a scene where he goes to the beach to meet up with a guy to sell an ounce of weed and throws it into the water. And I'm like, it's little moments like that throughout the film where it took it away.
That was way more than an ounce.
I think they referred to it as a zip, which in the game is an ounce.
Okay, well, I don't know.
So I don't know. But yeah, but also I
Just
mean, if you want to
looked
get
like a lot more than an
if you want to
ounce.
get critical about the marijuana section, yeah, I'll do that. Okay. It looked like way more than an ounce, even though they referred to it as a zip. And also, when he dumped it out, it just fell out like sand, which is not. It's all nugs. It's like.
Yeah.
Irrelevant.
Yeah. Also, we were getting wildly off track here between him at job fairs and how much is a zip. Let's get.
It was a rack. He sold it to a white boy for a rack.
Let's get to the points.
My point is, when I'm watching this movie, I know it's like I remember 2009 seeing the videos online of it happening, me being like, and how many of those videos have we seen since then?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and I remember being like, wow, that was one of the first ones where like my internet was quick enough and people could film it on their phones, and I saw it and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So the fact that I know it's a real person and it was a real horrible thing that happened, when I'm watching the movie, every time something happens, my brain is just going like, how accurate is this? How much artistic
Liberties
did
take?
they take? You know what I mean? I'm not saying like it's a bad movie, but like I didn't get that much out of watching it because I was too quizzical on like when the dog scene happened. I was like, this has to be made up for this. Like it's almost too convenient. That
the thing is that
you know what I mean. And once you start playing with that,
I feel like a lot of the different things in the movie, like that, like to me, that stuff didn't matter as much because it's one of those moments where it's like, okay, you're kind of looking at like the last 2 days of somebody's life, essentially.
That's what it is.
Day.
That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like the last day of his life. Yeah.
And so, like to me, it's one of those moments where it's like the dog scene is that it's like, did that happen that day? I don't know. Did that happen? Very possibly. Like at some point. Like
what I read
was
like
dense 4 months of his life of the nice things he might have done in one day.
Yeah. I'm not going to take away that like all these magical things happen on his last day because all those things have surely happened throughout his life.
But or it may not have even.
And if it didn't, it doesn't matter.
What it really comes down to is this: what the movie I think wants to do is paint the picture that this guy is a human being, and just. He's a human being, and he's a man with a life like anyone else. And he's just trying
Hold on. A man of the life? What does that mean?
A man with a life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said a man of the life like he was in the mafia.
No,
like,
it's
like
just,
he knew the game he was playing.
Right, but
and he knew the rules.
It's like he's trying to, he's just a guy like any other person, but he's a human being.
He's
man.
22. He's a
Right.
kid.
He's a kid.
Yeah.
He's trying to get through in this world like we all are in some aspects and whatever bull we have to face on a regular basis. And then, so I'm sure they take grandiose swings at it with him rescuing a dog. I mean, I had that same feeling. I'm watching him pick up a dog out of the street, and I'm going,
that was a tough one, too.
All right, nonsense. Right, because I never had a dog. So
See, I'm not going nonsense. I'm just like,
yeah, I know, but that's what that's my point, though. I never had a dog, so I don't really, I can understand that. But then the part of me that's going, how accurate is this? Is the alarms are going off wildly. How accurate is this part? When different areas where he makes this confession to his girlfriend, how he lost his job and he's trying to he wants to do right, and she forgives him, and then how he decides to buy some extra crab legs for his mom for her birthday, and he goes to see and it's just all those little things. Sure, how inaccurate could they be? Maybe they're wildly inaccurate. Maybe he just sat home, lost his job, told his girlfriend, listen, I'm not going to sell weed anymore, but I lost my job, and that might have been his whole day.
Yeah,
that might have been. But then the point that I think the movie's trying to make, what Ryan Coogler is trying to make, the director and writer, and it's also his first feature-length film. So the point that he's trying to make is that he's a human being, and then he's just trying to live his life and trying to have fun wherever he can and do whatever he can, and then he just gets cut down like that. Like any one of us can be on a train, some stuff could pop off, fight could break out, some things could occur.
That could have happened to any one of us at this table, but the only one who would have been shot would be Casey.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, as opposed to Oscar, Casey probably would have had it coming.
You would never. I don't feel like you would have been stopped because you look like a cop.
Well, you've never seen me drunk on New Year's on a train.
That's true.
Surrounded by people with police giving me, shit.
Right. But it's like that's the point.
I don't. That's like.
Do you see what I'm saying?
No. I see exactly what you're saying, and I think to add on to that is that the real thing that he was pointing out was like throughout the movie was kind of these moments where it's like he's not somebody where it's like, yeah, he's selling weed, and at this moment, whether I like it or not, it's an illegal substance that you're not allowed to possess, and he's breaking the law, and he's a bad person for that. Is that it's like, first off, selling weed is not, the you don't die from it, they don't kill you for it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like what they paint the picture of is that it's like the media really likes to paint the picture where it's like, he sold weed.
Yeah.
He did this. He's a bad person.
He went to jail.
He went to jail one time. He deserved it, essentially. And
once again, and I hate having to do this, went to jail 5 times and sold other stuff besides weed.
Right.
No, I know.
And
still,
again, like, it's just when I'm watching, it doesn't make him a bad person, and I'm not trying to justify
this
it
is
at
my
all,
thing
even
is,
though that's how it comes off. But while I'm watching the movie, I'm just
So then what are you trying to do?
I didn't enjoy the movie as much as you guys because
Right.
I was more skeptical of how well of a picture this
How
dude's
accurate of
yes.
How accurate of
When really, if the movie had been like looking at the entire area, like you were saying, like jobs are really bad, poverty's a bad thing, and then it slowly narrows down and paints a picture of this poor dude who winds up like this.
yeah.
I would have liked that movie more than just taking this dude's last 36 hours and filling in gaps with artistic liberties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was unable to enjoy the film more, and also I just found it to be a little boring. Once again, take away the fact that this is a true story.
Right.
If I watched this movie, I'd be like, it was all right. I would never watch it again.
I will agree with this is that it was slow at a lot of different points, but I liked the fact that it was slow.
Right.
Because what it didn't do was, because to kind of mention back to what I was talking about before is that it's like and what KC was talking about is that it's like they painted him as a human being, and they painted him in this way where it was like, I'm not selling drugs because I'm like
Trying to buy rims.
because I'm trying to buy rims.
He's
It's like
he's got
I'm
a
trying to
family.
make rent, and I'm trying to feed some people, and not even just himself. It's like I'm trying to help other people pay rent and like buy my mom a birthday gift and stuff like that.
Oh, I wanted to see what happened with that white family card too. That scene was missing. I really wanted to see how she reacted.
But at the same time, it's like they did a good job of painting him as that, and not just like, oh, he's a thug and he's a gangster.
Yeah.
And all those different things. And so it almost becomes this thing where it's this moment where, like, when I look at the way that the media portrayed him and how the media seems to portray everybody who is who ends up in one of these situations, is that it becomes this moment where it's like, okay, well, the media's representation of him is going to be that he's a thug and a criminal, and he's been to prison 5 times, and essentially, like, coming to a culmination of that he deserved to be shot by a police. Like, it was bound to happen. He was going to get shot by a police officer while in custody for no reason. Is that it's like that like fake story that gets created, I feel like is way more fake than this fake story that might have been created.
Fantastic point.
Is that it's like the way that the media portrays these type of stories, to me, this is much more realistic, where it's like, yeah, went to jail a couple times, gets in fights when he probably shouldn't, sells drugs to try and make rent.
22-year-old black kid from Oakland, have to be
But he's
defensive.
a 22-year-old kid. I mean, he could be a 22-year-old kid from anywhere, and I know people that get in fist fights. Like, it's not like it's a crazy uncommon thing. It's just that because of the way that that city works, because of the way that a lot of cities work, and the way that police officers police, you end up in a situation where that person is like in handcuffs and shot to death, which makes absolutely no sense.
And the thing is that with you're talking about like the movie in itself, like life is boring. Day-to-day life is boring.
Right.
And that's what I think they do. They capture that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why it's slow at times. I'm watching the movie and I'm going, yeah, all right, this guy's running errands. Why the hell am I here? Why am I watching this movie, watching this guy run errands when I'm not running errands? Like, I'm thinking about my day-to-day. And it's just like, all right, like I'm frustrated in that aspect, but it's like at the same time, I get it. So they paint it as it's a boring day-to-day life. And there's certain things that he does that are accentuated. With with saving this dog or trying to save the dog or being upset about it, or maybe the really sweet gestures he pulls towards his family or his friends or whatever, or this woman that he puts on the phone with his grandmother who's trying to cook fried fish for her boyfriend. Like little gestures like that, little nuggets that they try to give you. But I think that what it comes down to, that the movie wants to portray that he's a person. And that's it. And he's killed. He's gunned down. In real life, the one accurate thing that he does that is accurate in the movie that rings true to real life is when he's shot, he's looking at the officer and he says, I have a daughter.
I have a daughter. Yeah.
And there are points in the movie where, since we all know what's happening at the end, it's, you can't be not aware of what's going to happen at the end, because even in the description they tell you. But you're watching the movie and you're going, and it's like your day-to-day life. You think about those little interactions. The minute when you're racing your daughter to the car, those little bits of humanity.
Yeah.
And you just know that at the end of that, he's going to die.
Right.
And if that's the part that pulls at me. That's the part that really, there are parts, I'll tell you, there are 3 moments in this movie where I'm just crying. And it's like the saddest part is to watch. He's running with his daughter, trying slow motion.
That's a good scene.
And he's just trying to spend a day with his daughter despite all the nonsense he has to deal with.
Yeah.
He has to go buy, his mom tells him, just buy me 1 crab. And then he goes and he buys 2. He doesn't have the money. And he does that. And that part is where it's like, it tugs at your humanity as a person. And then for you to his mom tells him, go take the train. Have a good night. And then that's going to be the end.
And that his mom is going to feel that like
for
she
the
was
rest
the one
of her life.
And the girlfriend's going to feel like he was like, let's just go home. Like, let's just, tired. He's probably now trying to save a couple bucks. He's like, got those 2 crabs, got that white family card. I'm like, let's just go home for the night.
And then he's like, you know what? Fine, we'll go out. And then his past catches up with him in terms of that guy that he saw him in jail.
That's something I didn't read. Because I read a little bit about it.
I mean, whether or not that happened. Or
No. There was definitely a scuffle on the train, but was it a dude from jail? I want to know. That doesn't matter.
And it's
really
just like, but then you come down and you see all those points, and and then he just looks at this cop and he says, "I have a daughter," and then if that doesn't ring true to you, it doesn't pull at your heart to say, "Oh man, this is what the life that some people have to deal with."
Don't judge me.
I'm not judging.
If that doesn't pull at your heartstrings, you're a cold, heartless monster.
I meant to the people listening. If that doesn't tug at you and go, this is a life cut short.
You guys think I'm a horrible person.
No, I think that there are parts that I don't think you're a horrible person. I'm not judging you.
These moments that you're talking about, they did tug at my heartstrings.
It just blows my mind.
When the mom's leaving.
Yeah.
When he's running with the daughter, all these small moments. It's almost like he's living this double life of at moments he's still got that hard street attitude, and at other times he's like, I need to start raising my family.
It's chipping away at him.
Yeah, it's chipping away at this whole thing.
Well, and
all these things they pulled at my heartstrings, but this movie just didn't entertain me that much, man. I would never.
Well, no, it's not. It's not going to be an entertaining movie.
I feel like the lesson learned from this movie for me was almost lost because it's like preaching to the choir.
Right.
I'm like, I already feel all the things this movie is supposed to make me feel. I would have rather, and I know that they didn't have it, but I would have rather watched a documentary of here's exactly what happened the last day of his life.
there are things
up
for
to
that. You can watch.
There's
things on there for that, but it's just. I think it's to show people that, hey, listen, these people that the media, forget even the media, that these people are portrayed in a way, but these people have lives.
Yeah.
That it doesn't.
Not everyone. People are individuals. That's what I always try to convey. Is that you can't just he was this person. It's no, he had a whole. He had thousands of days behind him that made his character. He's not just defined by his age and where he's from.
Right.
Well, and that throughout the movie, that was one of the things, because I kept having moments in it where I was like, why is he lying to everyone?
Yeah.
I start next week to the guy behind the counter and yeah, mom, I'm fine. I got this. Or don't worry about it. I got money. I'm fine. Everything is fine. it's that reality of like when it got to the end and it's like he's 22, because like in my head I did not think of him as being 22.
Right. I thought him as damn near 30.
I thought of him as damn near 30.
He's
Just
got a
because
4-year-old daughter.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm also in the mind space of like myself of like you know, okay, well if you had like a 4-year-old daughter, like where would you probably be? And it's like, oh, that probably happens at like, you know, you end up doing that at like 25 or 26.
Working after university and then settle down.
Yeah, because well, no, and it's like because like I'm a privileged white guy, and so it becomes one of those things where it's like all of the different things of like, you know, of like he like that prison scene where his mom is like, I'm done with this, and leaves and everything like that. It's like that's not that long ago. It couldn't have been that long ago, which means that like when he's getting out of jail, like he's like not completely like. It's like they don't mention when he got out of jail last, but it's like he's still kind of living that down within his family. He's been to jail 5 times, so it's the 5th time that he's been in, and his mom's like done with him. So now he's trying to like be a good son and like
trying to save face.
Save face and not have lost his job and not be selling drugs again and not be and like be at least in her eyes be a good kid and be a good son to her. Because the last big interaction that they had together was when she was in prison going, I'm not doing this anymore and I'm not going to hug you goodbye because I can't believe that you're in this situation. And he's got a daughter who he's like realized I've got to pay attention to this kid and not go back to jail. And his girlfriend even says that like, don't leave me to do this alone.
Right.
Like, don't make me have to raise this little girl by myself. And all of those little human interactions where it is that thing of like I remember when I was 22 and I had a really terrible job and I was like depressed and hated like so much of my life, and then I'd hop on the phone with my mom and be like, I'm great. I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Like everything is awesome because all you want is to like make them feel like they didn't like raise a screw up.
Yeah.
And you just want to make them feel okay, like as a parent, that like you realize that it's like they're worried about you and you're like, I just got to make them feel okay right now.
The lies we tell to others, we also tell to ourselves.
Yeah, and at the same time,
so much
like
for saying that.
Why? That's totally true, though.
Yeah,
I just came up with that on the spot, you know.
Right.
But but like those are all of those little moments. That's why when the movie was slow, it's like it took me a while where I was like, why am I here? I had the same kind of thing that Casey was talking about of like, why am I here? And then I realized that it was like, oh, it's because you're like I'm getting in depth into like the very subtle things we do every day that are just like that are like mundane but with purpose.
Right.
They want to throw you into the deep end of his life.
They show you very little things that tell you a lot about his character.
Yeah, and that's why I think that the movie as a whole, as a movie, does a really amazing job of doing that, because it doesn't use all of the lines where it's you know, hitting you over the head with every single thing that he needs to be. There isn't a line from his mom being like, well, you better not lose your job. Right. And then it's he's got to secretly sit there and be like, I already did. Like, there's no scenes like that. It's all these very subtle little moments that happen throughout the thing. And all it really is like a kid trying to save face and trying to exist autonomously and not have to. I mean, it's kind of that same thing. That's like not have to move back in with his parents, not have to like, you know, trying to convince his girl, like trying to go forward in any way possible. And screwing up along the way. And that to me is what makes it a really great movie, is that it's like, you know, from the beginning, like, this is going to end terribly.
Yeah.
And you know, like it was so nerve-wracking to me because I didn't know exactly what got him to the point where he was sitting on the ground. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't know that part of the story. I had just seen the video of him sitting on the ground when it had come out. Mm-hmm. And like, I was sitting there being like, is he gonna get handed, like, I was literally sitting there being like, is he gonna get handed this girl's blunt, like the girls that are like smoking the blunt, and then a cop's gonna come through and then he's gonna get pulled off? Is it gonna be this? Is it
I thought it was like his friend who was gonna get shot and they were just gonna switch it up entirely.
Yeah,
I was just like hoping something.
I remember, and it's like you're like hoping something, or I was hoping that I was like, he's gonna live because I knew Oscar Grant, like I knew the story of Oscar Grant, but to be honest, I like it did not register to me that I was like, oh my God, it's Oscar Grant. Like, it's that story.
Yeah.
Like, it took me until, like, almost the end to like, have it register in my head because it's been so many years now since since I heard that story, like, who it was.
Yeah. I remembered the video, and when they showed it at the beginning, that's the first thing you see in the film is you show the video, you see the ending of the movie pretty much, but the real-life camera phone footage. And I remembered that, but I couldn't remember anything else about the guy. I didn't remember that he was only 22 years old. I didn't remember why they were being stopped and put on the ground in the first place. You know what I mean? So that, and I was even like towards the end of the movie, I was almost talking myself out of it. I'm like, he's going to live. I think he's going to be like, I'm trying to remember if Oscar in real life actually died or if he was just shot and it became a huge thing. I want to talk about real life though, quick for a second before we start to wrap up. We're all on the same page, right? For the guy, the cop who shot him, like 0% chance he thought he was reaching for his taser. We're all on board with that, right? Do you think there's any possibility this guy truly thought he was just tasing this kid on the ground?
I mean, it's so like it's a level of negligence. It's so astoundingly unbelievable.
Yeah,
but
they're transit cops. They're not even cops.
Right.
They're transit cops.
Like
why do they have Why do they have tasers and guns?
Right. That's the thing that kind of blows my mind. Is like it's so unbelievable. One, because the weight of a gun and the weight of a taser.
Right. I didn't even think of that.
Less than half. One.
And they're yellow.
Two. So it's color.
And he's holding it for a minute.
It's made of tasers are made of plastic, and the grip is not the same.
Weight, color, feel.
And it's not like this is a huge thing.
Well, no, and almost every cop also puts their taser in a cross grip, so you would have to reach for your left hip with your right hand.
Also, different side of the body.
Different side of the body.
Yeah. So we're talking.
There's so many reasons why.
We're talking almost every sense.
And the cop's not even listening. He's got 3 or 4 guys sitting against the wall, one of which is in handcuffs. Like, it's not like he's being bum rushed where he could maybe...
Yeah.
If he was being bum rushed, it'd be like, maybe in the heat of the moment, he didn't realize...
There's no heat of the moment here.
Exactly. There's no heat of the moment.
You're literally surrounded with other cops, and men are in handcuffs.
You see him take out the gun, and there's like a good 2 seconds, 3 seconds between him holding the gun in his hand and him pulling the trigger. And it's like... Once again, it's such a horrible, horrible thing. And this movie just didn't entertain me that much. I'm sorry.
It's not about, like, I understand movies have to... There has to be an entertaining... I don't know, man. Entertaining how? Like, what else do you... It gives you a slice of a person's life. I mean, is it just like because you're not able to...
Things were so convenient in the movie that it took away from the reality of the situation for me.
Things were too convenient. How so?
All the things, like, you know how we were saying, like, they probably took all these things that happened to him in the months leading up to him, kind of cram it into one day.
Possibly.
They took, the thing with the girl on the phone at the deli, that had happened while he had still been working there one time. Like, they took anecdotes from his life and put it to show him, because you're not going to make a movie, this is what happened the 6 years leading up to it. You know what I mean? Which,
it's
I'd
kind
watch
of
that movie too, though.
It's kind of that moment that's like if I was making the Dennis Rooney movie and I was trying to make it be 2 days of your life, like, I'd have to cram some things that happened at other times in.
It's going to be boring.
2 regular days of your life would be like...
Awful.
Playing video games.
Watching Fruitvale Station, just being unmoved.
Right. Yeah.
Being unmoved by your robot heart.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know what it is. Like, is it, do you lack empathy? Do you lack sympathy? I mean, it's okay if you do.
See, you're doing this again.
I'm not.
You're
I'm
talking
just,
real life versus the film. I have it written down here. Movie has good intent. It does good. It raises awareness.
Right.
But I'm... already, once again, you're kind of preaching to the choir.
Right.
So let's make this movie entertaining, or don't make the movie at all. Make a documentary.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Did you get emotional enough to cry?
You're gonna judge me on whether I cried
no, I'm just
or not
asking.
at the movie?
I'm just curious.
I got emotional. I never got to the point of crying. No.
Okay.
This is what I would say.
I hate you. That okay is so demeaning.
It's not demeaning.
This is what I would
mean yourself.
No. This is what I would say is that, to your point of entertaining, is that to me there are movies that are supposed to be entertaining, and there are movies that are supposed to be impactful. That when you, and there are certain, like, there's other things that are supposed to be like informational or blah blah blah. But the thing is that like there are tons of movies that are supposed to be entertaining that are not impactful on the way that you think about that you think about other human beings, and they are not impactful on the way that you think about like how things are policed or how like different laws work or anything like that. There are tons of movies that are impactful where would I watch this again? No. I don't want to watch this again. But if anybody was like, "What's a good movie on Netflix?" and I'm
Easily.
supposed to tell them a good movie to watch, I would be like, Fruitvale Station. It's a great.
You know
movie.
what I would say? Box Trolls. The Scrumshaw baby. Now that was a heartstring puller.
That banging noise was Steven moving his chair, but I wish it was him hitting Dennis with the chair.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, this movie has good intentions and it raises awareness and it's a good lesson and it's an impactful film.
Right.
But in terms of, once again, and that we find ourselves in this situation often where it's
Right.
like, would I recommend this movie to a friend, someone to watch? Like, it's Friday night. What should I watch tonight? I would be like, watch Fruitvale Station. Get a bucket of popcorn and a bucket for your tears and watch Fruitvale
But
Station.
it's all right. I mean, if you're not all right, so
Stop
it makes
judging
sense.
me.
You wouldn't recommend a movie in which people cry.
No, I would,
Look,
but not
yeah,
that.
Look,
Right. You're
Dennis,
not-
Dennis, we get it. You can't get past your just huge Irish cop face
That's
I
not.
can't get-
That's
I-
not
to
the
just
case.
be willing
it's
to
you know what?
accept the movie as being good.
I understand. I understand in a lot of ways what Dennis is saying. I get
I'm
it.
trying to think of another movie I would compare where I was like, same kind of idea to the movie, but I liked it a lot more.
Okay,
but
you
I'm
know what
coming up
movie?
short. I would suggest this to any of my racist friends if I do have any. Hey, racist friends. Black people are people too. Watch this movie.
You know what movie?
Idiots,
You
all
know
right?
what movie I think was similar. When we sort of caught my mind and that I thought was similar to it. American History X.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll kind of throw that in the mix. I love that movie.
Yeah,
That's a great story.
Right, and it's like this is what that is in a way. Except
Is
the thing
it-
is,
Is it bad that he loves American History X and he doesn't like Fruitvale?
He changes. He changes in the end. He changes for the brothers. For
No,
the
yeah,
brothers.
we get it. You loved The Believer also.
Yeah.
No, did I like that movie?
I forgot.
That is so. Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right.
So
Okay.
I mean,
I'm still going with Stream It.
yeah. I mean, there's no. I just I don't know what.
Stream it if you're one of those guys who tries to pick at any fault for any young black person who gets shot in this country, and they're like, "Well, he went to jail 4 times." Like, yeah, he's still a person. Watch it if you're like me and you're like, I only have the time to watch one movie this week. I want it to be something entertaining. Don't pick Fruitvale Station.
I'm gonna say a resounding stream it 100%, and I think everyone should watch this movie. This movie sort of falls in the category where I think it gives you a bit of a life lesson.
I think schools should show this movie.
Yes, 100%.
I do
I'll
think
throw that in there.
Right.
All right. You guys
So-
think so little of me. Go ahead. What do we got next week?
Yeah. What are we watching
next week? We are going to watch The Warriors.
Yeah.
Warriors.
And I'm excited to see it. So,
You've never seen it, right?
No, I've
That's
never
why
seen
we're
it.
watching.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
never seen
the
it.
only thing I've seen close to it is Fight Music, which is a music video by Eminem, which sort of taps
What?
on the Warriors.
All right.
But
we're-
check out flicksbookclub.com. We're going to gloss over that real quick. Flicksbookclub.com for all your all the information that's there. And that about wraps up this episode. Everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, bruh.
Bye.